Today on the DML News Podcast, there's a abundance of information about illegal aliens. Nobody's talking about it. We will. Donald Trump back in court today with Stormy Daniels. The Israelis sitting there scratching their head saying, why are we being alienated by the United States? And the Muslim invasion, or so that's what we hear from a representative out of Texas. Get ready. Roll Unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. We're going to jump right into it. There is a 3-year-old child who was, sexually assaulted?
Yeah, so by Melvin Jesus Aquino Enriquez. He was just charged in Texas with killing a 3-month-old baby after he beat the child. He is in our country illegally, and there's now an ICE hold on him. And if you look at the mugshot, he just looks like a downright criminal.
Yeah, so this is Joe Biden's newcomer. This is Joe Biden's new America. This is Joe Biden's approach, I guess, to trying to get himself voters, illegal voters at that. We should not be surprised at all based on Joe Biden's history and, of course, that of his son when it comes to doing things that are not becoming of being a real American. And so now what's happening is that everybody's focus in the media is on Donald J. Trump and Stormy Daniels as to her. You know, we're focusing on that as well. We're going to talk about that at the latter part of the show. But we want to remember all the things that are going on every single day with the border invasion, because it is going to impact our lives here as Americans long after the 2024 election, long after the 2028 election. It is changing the face. It is changing the structure of this country forever. I can't tell you how many times I've done reports over the past 20 years of illegal aliens doing something horrific to a baby, to an infant, to a young child. And it continues to continue. I've made movies about it, and it just never stops. And what happens is that it just becomes a headline for everybody. And what you have to try to do, as sick as this sounds, is you have to try to imagine, if you've had a child, if it was your 3-month-old that was killed by an illegal alien. You want to hear Joe Biden say about how these are just all nice people? Let's get the next one.
Yeah, so this is out of Denver. A group of illegal immigrants in Denver are refusing to leave encampments until the city meets its demands. Migrants published a document with 13 specific demands before they acquiesced to Denver Human Services' request to leave the encampments and move to more permanent shelters funded by the city. We also have a video regarding those demands if we want to play it.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm V Reeves with HAND, House Keys Action Network Denver. I use they, them pronouns. My name is spelled V, just the letter V. Last name Reeves. So we called for this emergency press conference because it became very clear from several meetings that we'd been having with the folks here at this encampment and also with other migrants that there needed to be clarification on the kinds of systemic conditions these folks are put under. There's a lot of dissonance and a huge amount of difference between what is coming out of the city and what the mayor is saying and what the reality of these people's lives are. There's also so many incredibly strong parallels that come between the cause for the unhoused migrants' rights here in Colorado and in the U.S., and then there are parallels with the fight for a free Palestine. Now, a lot of that comes from the fact that we're facing a common enemy. We're facing a colonial structure that decides that black and brown bodies are not of the same value as white European colonial settler bodies are.
So the city of Denver has already stated they can no longer handle the influx of the illegal alien population. In fact, they started coming down with ordinances that if buses were dropping off illegal aliens that were coming in from Texas, they were going to start to fine the buses. I mean, doing everything possible these illegal aliens are doing into getting into this country. And what should be happening is that the Biden administration should be doing everything possible to stopping them from going, but they're not. And they're allowing them to take over cities. Blue cities are being taken over, and police budgets are being stripped. Fire departments are being shut down. Hospitals, the funding for that is being cut back. We've got homeless people who are American citizens. We've got veterans who are now not getting the same services because they are going to illegal aliens. This is the Democrat Party. They create their own problem, then they swim in their own muck, and yet they still won't blame each other. They won't blame each other. They're going to blame Donald J. Trump. Well, let me tell you something. There's a couple of House Democrats who have gotten frustrated with this, and now they're actually taking some action. Dennis, what's the next thing we have here for people about what's happening with the House Democrats and a vote on stuff with illegal aliens?
So House Dems just voted unanimously to give illegals representation in Congress and the Electoral College. House seats and Electoral College votes will be added to the areas with the most illegals, including all the illegals that came under Biden, unless the Senate passes the bill. And as Stephen Miller puts in his tweet here, it's invasion by design.
So here we have these cities drowning. They're giving everything over to the illegal aliens to try to keep them happy. You sit there and scratch your head and say one question to yourself out loud. Why? Well, Dennis just answered it. They want to make it so this way these illegal aliens have representation in Congress. Therefore, they will be in their city. They will always vote blue. And that's why they're getting everything they possibly want. This is nothing to do anymore with cheap labor. We have plenty of labor. We got people on the sidelines. All these job reports that you hear with all these new jobs being created. First of all, it's replacement jobs for things that were lost to COVID and now they're coming back, okay? If I lose my keys in the laundry and I say I lost my keys, I can't find my keys, and then 2 days later I find those keys, I didn't get myself a brand new pair of keys. I'm using the same ones I lost. Okay? We don't have new jobs. We have replacement jobs. And those replacement jobs were lost by Americans and now are being given to illegal aliens. That's what they're calling job growth. All by design, like Stephen Miller said, all for design to make it so this way you and I never win another election and our country is gone forever. Now, here's insult to injury or injury to insult, however you want to do it, Dennis. There are legal terms. Okay, there are legal terms in this country, and if I say to you something, if I imagine me saying, we're a constitutional republic," and somebody says, "You know what? That's racist. What's racist? I don't like that word, constitutional." What do you mean? I don't like the Constitution. Well, it's a legal word. It's what we have. Imagine somebody shutting down our podcast because we use the word constitutional or constitution. Think about how insane that is. The word illegal and the word alien have been put together to describe those people who come into the country illegally, without paperwork. They are not originally from here. They are aliens and they are here illegally. It is a term that has gone in every single aspect of documentation, be it from our U.S. government to the Supreme Court to whatever. I mean, passports. And a young man got kicked out of school because he used the term illegal alien, and now he's fighting back. What is it, Dennis?
Yeah, so a 16-year-old North Carolina student suspended for using the term illegal alien in class is officially taking legal action against the school district for harsh punishment and false accusations of racism. According to the student's mother, Leah McGee, in April, an English teacher at Central Davidson High School gave a vocabulary assignment that involved the word alien. In response, her son Christian asked if the teacher meant, quote, like space aliens or illegal aliens without green cards. Another student allegedly took offense to the term and threatened to fight Christian, forcing the teacher to contact the assistant principal. The staff later deemed the term to be offensive to Hispanic students and punished Christian with a 3-day suspension.
You know, there was, right next to you, give me that picture off the wall. Give me that picture off the wall. See this? Border Patrol doubles as Operation Wetback set. Put that back. Dwight D. Eisenhower was a president of the United States, and there used to be a term called wetback. They would call illegal aliens who came over the border through Texas wetback because the last thing that they did was cross the Rio Grande. Their backs were wet. So that was what they called Operation Wetback. That was an actual term used by the U.S. government. If I were to be in a classroom today and I would call somebody a wetback, they would say that I was being racist. But it's a term that was actually used by the U.S. government. It was an operation. I mean, how can anybody be offended by the name illegal alien? That's what you are. And you know what? I don't give a rat's ass if you're offended. I'm offended that you're in my country, you broke the law, and that the U.S. government is allowing you to operate here. And not only operate here, but I have to pay for your schooling. I'm offended. We have to stop this political BS, the political correctness. They're illegal aliens. That's it. There's no other way around it. And the fact that this kid is now suing, thank God, because what they did in kicking him out and punishing him is absolutely egregious. Egregious. Now, with that being said, we try to always find that silver lining, that little shine of hope. There is another group of Democrats that are not very happy with Joe Biden and what's going on at the border, and now they are pleading to him, if I'm not mistaken, to please do something.
Yes, so this comes from Washington Examiner. Frontline House Democrats are calling on President Joe Biden to address the influx of illegal immigrants at the southern border through executive action as Republicans capitalize on the issue heading into the 2024 election. Representative Angie Craig, Democrat from Minnesota, led 14 House Democrats in sending a letter to the president to use, quote, all the tools at his disposal to address security and fentanyl trafficking to allow for orderly legal immigration.
Yeah, so let's take a look at something, and this is fact-based. I'm not making this up. This is in my opinion. The United States of America has immigration laws in place. The President of the United States has a lot of power when it comes to immigration. He can, by the use of a pen and a paper, demand that all immigration into this country stops from a location, from a religious group, from a prison. I mean, he can just with the pen say, we can't take any more Irish guys. Why? Because Irish guys are creating a national threat right now to the United States of America. Well, how do you come up with that? And then he has to lay out the proof. And therefore, all Irish guys stop coming in. There is absolutely a long list of reasons and proof that Joe Biden would be able to provide to the ACLU, who's going to complain, and to the courts that may go after him, or any other one of these radical groups that try to sue the government. He can show proof that the country right now is experiencing a national security issue. I'll give you an example. We cannot allow any more Mexican nationals into this country because we cannot decipher at this given time the difference between a cartel member and a regular citizen. We know that Mexico is not a safe nation. If they were a safe nation, the bypass of people coming through Mexico into our country looking for asylum would stop. They would seek asylum in Mexico, but they can't seek asylum in Mexico because that's the whole thing. It's called the Third Nation Act, where if you are going to seek asylum and the next country you go to is a dangerous one, you're allowed to skip to the next. If Mexico was actually a secure nation, people from Guatemala, Honduras, Iraq, South America, wherever they're coming from, going through Central America into Mexico, could stop there. So the proof of the pudding is sitting there for Joe Biden to say we can't take any more Mexican nationals until we either A, stop the cartel, or B, Mexico, basically says they're going to work with us to stop everything that's coming through our borders, put the Mexican army on the border. And there's no entity that would be able to say that is a lie. All right? We've got over 100,000 American citizens dying every single year because of the drugs that are coming in through Mexico. Much of that is now fentanyl poisoning. We know for a fact that China is complicit in creating what's needed for fentanyl. We would be able to say we cannot have any more Chinese nationals coming into the country. Just can't. Xi Jinping is trying to every single day tap into our computer systems and steal our intellectual property and the things from the Pentagon. They are doing so many different things, like putting a spy balloon over our country. We can't have them in anymore. You could go back and say we can't take anybody from the Middle East. We can't take Iran. We can't take anybody from Palestine. We can't take anybody from Yemen. Why? Because they're burning the American flag and saying death to America. We cannot decipher between who is and who is not feeling that way. We have to stop. The list that I'm giving you here right now is very long. Joe Biden, for national security purposes, could deem the list of people that cannot come into this country forever and a day. He can actually even just say, we have to cut off all immigration altogether because of the mass migration all over the world. Nobody has a handle anymore on who their citizens are. And we are in grave danger. He's not doing that. He's not doing that because he simply wants to win elections. And these people who are coming over from other nations do so, by and large, being poor. They're getting all these handouts from the Democrats, and they are going to buy their loyalty forever and ever and ever. That is why he won't do anything, even though you have right now legitimate Democrats saying, we're going to lose this election because you're leaving those borders open. Well, maybe this is the plan, and I don't know. This is just speculation. I was thinking about this as I was driving over. Maybe the Democrats realize that with Joe Biden in the driver's seat, there's absolutely no way to win this election. All right. But keep in mind, they may be taking what the cartels do. It's called a sacrifice. What the cartels do when they're going to take over, let's say, for instance, $1 billion worth of drugs for the day, they will take $1 million worth of drugs and they'll send them over to the right side of the Rio. All right. And let's make all the music and all the sound we possibly can. Border Patrol is going to apprehend you. We're going to sacrifice that. We're going to give that up. And while the Border Patrol and everybody else is focusing in on that big, huge $1 million bust, we're going to take our $1 billion load and we're going to go over to the left-hand side where nobody's watching the Rio anymore. So they sacrifice the little to send in the big. So maybe they recognize the fact that the greatest way of getting rid of Trump, short of actually taking him out, is to let him win. Give him his 4 years. It's not a big deal. We're going to make sure that he doesn't win both the House and the Senate. We're going to lock him up. 4 years from now, when he's done and the Republicans really don't have anybody in their arsenal, we'll be back. We'll play our game again. We will take the whole thing over. And all of these multiple waves of illegal immigration that we've done month after month, year after year, will all metastasize in a wide-ranging amnesty, and we will never lose an election again. So they sacrificed these 4 years with Trump, knowing that when he's over, unless somebody magical comes in, MAGA dies. And then the Democrats will own the country forever. It is a very legitimate way of doing things. It takes a very, very wise and forward-thinking person to actually put that through their mind. But don't be surprised, because it makes no sense that the Democrats did not remove Joe Biden from office and replace him with somebody else. Now, with that said, to get back into the danger of the cartels and illegal aliens, the cartels are not kidding around. They will do anything and everything to take over this country on every single way, be it human smuggling or drug smuggling. And I even think one day just taking the country over in general. What are the cartels doing right now with American citizen kids?
Yeah, so cartels are using flashy social media posts with piles of money, jewelry, and luxury items to entice teens in America and Mexico to smuggle illegal immigrants across the U.S. border. And officials say the young people have no idea what they are getting mixed up in. Texas Department of Public Safety officers arrested 2 Texas 19-year-olds Saturday for smuggling 3 migrants after they led police on a high-speed chase in a stolen vehicle, then crashed into a rancher's fence. One of the men in the vehicle, Gerardo Jose Ojeda Montiel, 33 from Venezuela, is wanted on murder charges in the U.S. Virgin Islands, said a Texas DPS official. Daniel Lopez Vasquez of Austin, Texas, and Brian Guzman of Del Valle, Texas, were arrested and charged with evading arrest, smuggling of persons, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and unlawful carrying of a weapon.
So what you have to understand, especially if you live in a southern state where you're talking about California, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, even Oklahoma, anywhere down there, especially now with the economy starting to go in the wrong direction and inflation being higher, people are spending more money on things that they used to get for $5. Now they're getting for 15. It's getting harder to make money. When people get desperate, they start to do desperate things. And now what's happening is the cartel are actually going after the vulnerable children. These are children who may not have any money themselves, or they see their parents struggling. And before you know it, they see these advertisements, they get in, they say, hey, it's not a big deal. I'll do it once, I'll do it twice, I'll do it 3 times. Understand something, that once you get entangled with the cartel, you never, ever get out. The only way to get out is your stairway to heaven. That's it. So please, if you live in a southern state, if you have family in southern states, please alert your kids, or if you're a grandparent, your grandkids, whatever, please alert them to the dangers of this. They will lure them in with candy, and then they will kill them with a sword. They will never, ever get out. So please, there's certain times when we do stories where we say, hey, you got to spread the word on it. Spread the word on it. You got somebody who lives in Texas, they got a kid, just please say, hey, you've heard about this, right? And just please make sure, because they will disguise themselves in looking one way. And then once you're in, you ain't getting out. And the whole family will wind up being dragged into this, believe me, because then the next thing will be that the kids will be told, get your parents to give you $10,000 or we're going to kill you and your parents. That's the next thing. But this is what Joe Biden is allowing to happen into the country. He's turning a blind eye to it. He doesn't care about it. And he thinks that he's got everything all under control. And this is the best presidency of all time. But his own party is disagreeing with him. And not only is it that he is alienating the American citizen, but now he is officially alienating Israel in a way that you almost say Joe Biden has done a deal with Hamas. What do we got right now? I mean, we know that Joe Biden has stopped the weapons to Israel. He says he is not going to participate in allowing the Israelis to bomb what is left of Hamas, claiming that he doesn't want to see the million civilians in Rafah and in that whole area be killed in attacks from Israel on Hamas. Hamas has said, what are you talking about? We're not going to be killing innocents. Maybe a couple get lost in the fray, but hey, look what happened to us. We need to wipe out Hamas once and for all. This is the last stand. This is their last place. We got to get rid of them. And Joe Biden's saying, no, you can't. I'm not going to give it to you. Don't worry. I'll still help you protect yourself with your Iron Dome. We'll help you protect against attack, but we're not going to help you attack the enemy. I mean, holy Hannah, how do you do that? You're basically tying Israel's hands behind its back, saying you're going to go into a fight with Mike Tyson. And you say, can you undo my hands? No, I can't, but don't worry. When he pummels you, we're going to have the seat and the water and the Vaseline to clean up your wounds on the side. We're not going to leave you on that. We're just going to send you into the war and you're on your own. I mean, we have forever given an abundance of weapons to help Israel defend itself because it's surrounded by radical Islam. And now all of a sudden we're going to stop. And I know why this is stopping. This is stopping because, like we said yesterday, he needs to win Michigan. Michigan is the greatest swing state of all the swing states that are going to be this year. You got Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Those are really the 5. But Michigan is the one. And so he knows Michigan is a Muslim-heavy area. That's why you've got Rashida Tlaib. That's why she's in office. You say, who the hell would get her? The people of Detroit, Michigan. That's who's voting these people in. That's the biggest area of the concentration of people. It's primarily black, and it's a lot of Muslim. So what he's going to do between that and to appease these college students or college terrorists who are pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, this is what the next move is. He's throwing our greatest ally under the bus so this way he can try to win an election. Well, let me tell you something, Joe. There isn't enough of them when compared to as many as there are of us. And every time he does something like that, I love the fact because he's pushing people off the sidelines to come out and vote. Now, here's the craziest thing of all, Dennis. We're going to play a CNN video right now. Donald J. Trump was actually impeached for this same thing, for telling Zelensky, we're holding back $400 million of aid to you, military aid to you. You're not getting it until you tell me the information you have about the corruption of Joe Biden. Well, now what Joe Biden's doing, he's cutting off the aid to Israel. It's the same thing, but he's doing it so he could win an election. Play this fight that went on CNN about this very topic.
Republicans in Congress are going to be livid about this issue
because
right
they
here.
think they have a good issue.
Well,
Scott,
no.
I get it. I think they think that he's the president of the United States. They're just politicians trying to take advantage of a situation.
Well, no, I think they support our ally, and maybe he doesn't. They're going to recall a time when we impeached the president of the United States for withholding military aid authorized by Congress from Ukraine. $400 million. That was the basis of the impeachment. This is congressionally authorized military aid to our ally, and he is withholding it for political reasons.
So wait 1 second. I'm sorry, it's your show.
Go.
The basis of that impeachment was that the president of the United States called the president of Ukraine, and he said, I want you to do me a favor and open an investigation on the person who I think may be my opponent in the next election. That was the basis
and
of
he
the
wants
impeachment.
Israel to stand down on Rafah because his base is mad at him. It's a political reason.
Scott, the analogy just doesn't hold.
So there you go, folks. Even CNN right now, the panels are starting to fight about it. Joe Biden is doing this simply so this way he can try to maintain a strong hold on the Muslim vote. Now, with that being said, we're going to go now into talking about Trump and Barron Trump and what's happening with Stormy Daniels and the fact that she's being cross-examined today. And we're going to be also talking about, Democrats, how they saved Johnson yesterday from being removed, something that Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to do. We're going to talk about how it is that the Ohio AG is cracking down on these pro-Palestinians who are taking over colleges and destroying things. He actually says he's found a way to hold these people accountable with felony. All right, so we've got that coming up. We've got also, going back into this whole Muslim conversation, there are big concerns in Washington, D.C. about how this country is starting to be influenced by radical Islam. But I can't talk about it here. Dennis and I can't talk about it here. We can't talk about it on Facebook, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or iHeart. We can't do it because we go against their platform rules, which basically is you're not allowed to tell the truth anymore. So we have to now jump off and go over to Team DML. You could become a Team DML member for as low as $2.50 a month. You help us stay in business. You get ad-free news, and you get to watch this entire show from start to finish. Simple way of doing it. If you're on a desktop or a laptop, go to teamdml.com and you could register right there. It's simple as easy. It takes 2 seconds and you're in. You'll have live chat with thousands of people just like you. You'll be part of our team. There's so many different advantages, but I don't have time here to tell you about them. You could read about them at teamdml.com. Or if you're using a smartphone, go to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, download the DML News app for free. Then go to tab 5. It says Interact. Go to the top. It says Team DML Memberships. Same thing as if you were on a desktop. You go through the process and you become a team member. And we would really appreciate it because we want to give you the full show. We want to give you all the information you need to know, especially going into this next election. If you're informed, you're a powerful person. If you're not informed and you're just flipping through Facebook here and looking at cat videos, you're no help to anybody, including yourself. So with that being said, Dennis, now let's talk about Barron Trump.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.